So today is March 29th, and I didn't film yesterday because everyone needs a day off. I definitely did, and I enjoyed it. I just took time to myself, and I went running outside because it was a beautiful day, and then I just relaxed most of the night after getting some errands and stuff ran. Anyway, I definitely needed to film today because it seems like a lot of stuff is going on and also escalating, and I can definitely sense a sense of urgency from multiple people that I know. And so as of right now, we are still first in the first country as far as having the most cases worldwide, which today we just are over 140,000 cases tested positive. And then as far as fatalities, it's just over 2,400 fatalities in the United States. So people are starting to really pay attention to this. People are really starting to feel the numbers add up. And it's something, like I said, I was feeling this even before I started making these videos, so I don't even know when, but I've been feeling it, I believe, a couple weeks now, and I can see it coming, and I know that it's taken a lot of people time to fully understand, because it's just, our whole world, it has been completely turned upside down. Our normal is no longer a normal anymore. We don't know what to expect of this. We don't know what our lives will look like 6 months from now, 3 months from now, a year from now. Like, we don't know what it's gonna look like. And so a couple of things that have been happening, I believe Mercy or Comfort, both of the US Navy ships. So one was supposed to be headed to New York, and it was leaving 3 weeks early, which was absolutely amazing. President Trump was very happy about that, how quickly they got it ready. And it's a big ship. He said there's 12 operating rooms, over 1,000 beds. I mean, I can't even imagine a ship like that. But so it's well on its way to New York, and then I notice the New York numbers are continuing to go up. I think I saw today that it was right around 52,000 in New York, and how it's becoming a serious issue. And for half a day or so, maybe a whole day, the Governor Cuomo for New York governor, and President Trump seemed to be on different pages, because President Trump said, we've had great conversations and this and that. And then the whole deal about the enforceable quarantine being mentioned. So President Trump mentioned enforcibly quarantining New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, because those are what's considered the hot zone. And that's including having people checked on the subways when they get off, making sure people have their papers. If it shows they're from New York, like, it's not gonna work. They're gonna have to turn back or something. I don't really know how all they're making this work, but they're also, I heard on the news, pulling people over with New York plates that are in other states. So I think they're getting kind of strict about this. There was a headline that said President Trump is not gonna do this, and he's not going to enforce the quarantine. But if you actually look at the video footage of him answering questions when he was just outside the White House heading somewhere, he says he hopes he doesn't have to. He never said he won't. He said he hopes he doesn't have to, of course he hopes he doesn't have to. I mean, everyone hopes he doesn't have to, but he also understands if he needs to, he will. And just keeping this thing under wraps as much as we can at this point, now that we know how contagious it is, now that we know where we're at with it. I wholeheartedly agree with him, and that's a very difficult decision to make. Once again, that goes back to the economic formula that I was talking about, saying that there's an actual formula for economically what people's lives are worth. How many lives are worth risking for this? Or should we, shut the country down and affect the whole country? It's like, how many lives are worth risking our entire economy? So that's a big thing. And then I saw Governor Cuomo talk about how he didn't understand what the quarantine meant. He hadn't communicated with President Trump about the quarantine. So it seemed like they were on different pages. But now there was a guy from Homeland Security, I believe it was, talking on the TV earlier. He was speaking in lieu of Trump, but saying President Trump, but saying that like the federal level is going to have to make sure that they are clear and on the same page with the state level. And then the state level is going to have to make sure and will make sure that they're in line with like more of the county level and local level. So what they're trying to do is ensure that every level is all on the same page so they can lead people as a united front, which obviously we want. And of course, governors are going to stand up for their states. If they feel like their state's being treated wrong, they're going to say something about it. So if they're in full communication and understanding with the federal government, then they can confirm with them, and then locals can then confirm with the state governments. So just making sure that everyone's on the same page, that's huge. I am glad that that's something they're talking about. They're also talking about the supply chain, which is something that I mentioned that I was kind of worried about as far as us not continuing to get everything, as far as obviously a lot comes from other places in the world. So world trade, the supplies that gets to us from other parts of the world, and then local, so food factories, animal factories, like all these places that make all these things that we use on a daily basis, just ensuring that those things are still being made, shipped, and put in the stores for the people to have. Definitely something I'm worried about. Obviously, it's something that, it's because I was educated in economy, and I know how this stuff can work, and it's stuff that a lot of people don't think about until all of a sudden there's not stuff on the shelves. So supply and demand, it's a whole thing. So as far as the economy goes, another thing I wanted to touch on, the relief package is on the way, right? So Senate, Congress, and President Trump all have signed off on it. No, it's not perfect, but they needed to get it out so they could get money to the people that are needing it right now, obviously all across the nation. So they have that on the way, and the way that they said they were going to do it is by kind of the same thing, the federal government getting it to the state government, and then the state government getting it to the people. So the federal government, from what President Trump said, is not going to be them giving it directly to us. They will be giving it to the states, who are then going to be dispersing it to the people. And he said the state systems can be pretty historic as far as old, and so it's just been mentioned they're just trying to get money to people as soon as possible, and they're hoping that they can do it quickly and efficiently. So that's kind of the hopes right now. If you're noticing, there's actually been a kind of decent supply on the shelves at the stores. I truly believe that right now is a sweet spot. Right now is a sweet spot for people who have savings for a rainy day, it's the time to go is now. 2 reasons. 1, the numbers are going to continue to climb, right? Exponentially. So kind of like cells multiply inside a human body. It's like 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8. It's just, the numbers are building that way. So especially if you live in a city area and you have money for a rainy day, go get your goods now. Because like I said, number 1, the virus hasn't spread as bad as it's going to yet. And you still have a chance to get out there with hopefully getting lucky and just avoiding it altogether as far as getting the virus. And then 2, because people who are going to be getting the money from the government will be going to buy these goods as soon as they get their money. So the people that don't have the money right now aren't getting them. Now's the time for people who do have the money. That also allows these people who don't have the money, once they do receive the government relief package, these people that have their savings have already gotten their goods, so these people can go in the stores and get them. So everyone's not going at the same time. That's important. Sorry I sound so passionate. I just am, and I can't help it. So they're hoping two more things is they have pushed the social distancing guideline to the end of April. So April 30th is now the new guideline, the one that was 15 days. It's now through April. And they're hoping, and this came directly out of Dr. Fauci's mouth, is that they're hoping that all of their data stays as correctly as they expect it to be based off of people listening and social distancing themselves, which means that they expect the curve to peak at right around April 17th. Okay, right around April 17th. We have a couple more weeks of this ahead of us until it gets to the worst. Like, this is not the worst. We still have weeks while the numbers are exponentially growing, okay? Like, this is just... If you can realize it before it happens, please just realize what's happening before it gets worse, because it's easier to accept what's happening now and like mentally like get ready for this before it gets worse, and you have to mentally accept it in a really hard, like maybe traumatic way. So anyway, so the social distancing until April 30th, and then they're expecting the peak. If people do what they're asking them to do by social distancing, they're expecting the peak to be right around April 17th. So we'll see how this turns out. I know there's a lot of professionals with a lot of graphs and a lot of data and a lot of statistics trying to work on this, but they can't really stress it enough on TV, like just to please listen. And it does seem, they said about 90% of Americans seem to be taking it seriously and trying to socially distance themselves, so that's great. More people, better. Just everyone needs to do it. We all need to work together on this. It's a virus that can spread to anyone. Even if you survive from it, it is way worse than the flu. It is extremely painful, and it is scary because you can't breathe. And so I want to stress this to all the people, anyone that watches this, just please just take care of yourselves. So and then another thing is, like, back to the quarantine, enforceable quarantine with New York, Connecticut, New Jersey. Who knows if that's going to happen? We hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen and the numbers continue to get worse in other hot spots, so other states, maybe Florida, maybe California, maybe Texas, we don't know. When they do that, when it escalates quickly, and it escalates to a point where it is enforced by policemen, National Guard, the people that's their, like I said before, their directive to enforce it. If you have a place that you plan on going and you don't have anything holding you here being wherever you currently are, and if you have a place that you know your family will go, if you have a place that you know you will be safe at, and you don't have like your job to work at right now like holding you here, consider going, because it's better to make a move like that to get closer to your family before the fact than whenever it's more traumatic of an experience. So more preventative versus restorative kind of situation. So just stay ahead of the curve, pay attention to your surroundings, and also please, like I did yesterday, just take some time to yourself to enjoy, because life does still go on with all this happening, and there's beautiful sunrises and sunsets every single day. And I know it's a lot of information. A lot of people aren't used to keeping this close as far as information goes, but only take in what you can handle. If you hit your limit, shut it off. Like, you know your limits, you know your lives and situations, and I can normally take in more information than a lot of people because that's how I am. Like I said, I like to be informed, but I just can't stress how important it is for everyone to just think ahead, think smart, and to be safe. So that's my check-in for today. Until next time.